Hello and welcome to my second Canva tips and tricks video. So today I'm going to be talking about fonts, how to choose the fonts that you use in your posts, and ideally how many fonts you should have in your brand assets folder. So ideally what you're looking for is a headline font, a body copy font and a testimonial font. And all these need to look quite different from one another. Now, a rough rule is to have a bold font for your headline, the same font but in a lighter weight for your body copy, and a script, italic or handwritten font for testimonials, okay? Now, a really good place to start is to find out what fonts are used in your logo. Ideally, your designer or whoever created your logo for you should be able to tell you what fonts they've used. If that's not possible, there is actually a website that you can go to find out what fonts have been used in your branding. And the website is called myfonts.com. And under one of the tabs is called What the Font. And what you can do is you can upload a JPEG of your logo to this website. And what it will do is it will try and find the best match for the text that you've uploaded. Now, it's not 100% accurate, but what it will do is it will give you some names of fonts that perhaps are similar in style, and if you're lucky, it might actually give you the font that is used in your logo. Then once you've got the name of the font, what you can then do is you can either purchase that font from that website, or you can do a Google search and see if you can download it for free from one of the free font websites out there. Now, what you can do then, once you've got this font file, is to upload it into your Canva Pro account. Now, do make sure when you're downloading a free font that you have the rights to use it. Now, some of them I've seen come with a note at the bottom to say only for personal use, not commercial use. So that does mean that you can't really use it in your marketing. What you're looking for is that not written on there, or using okay for commercial use, basically. So do be mindful of that when you're uploading free fonts into your pro account. Now, if you can't find the font via this method, then another option is to have a look through the fonts that are available in the Canva app and see if there's sort of a close match. So for example, if your logo font is quite bold and chunky, then have a look and see if there's something similar like that in their options. And then that can be one of the fonts that you use perhaps for your headlines. Okay? Now, next thing to do is to think about some rules and set some rules for yourself when you're using your fonts. So for example, if you decide on a certain font for headlines, that is the font that you always use for your headlines. The same applies for body copy, testimonials, etc. Okay, and that just really helps you have that consistency and keep that consistency across your designs. The next thing to do is to think about, well, are you going to write your headlines all in uppercase, or are they going to be written in sentence case or lowercase? Whatever it is that you decide, you must stick to that rule, okay? So if you do it a couple of times, then ideally you've got to keep on doing it, okay? You can't keep on swapping and changing. Sometimes you do it all uppercase, sometimes you don't, because that does create the inconsistency in the style, okay? Now, the thing to be mindful of when you're using, say, a handwritten or script face is that actually it's not always that legible if you're using it in long paragraphs of copy, okay? So be mindful of using these fonts in short sentences or a couple of words at the most. Now, the same rule goes for using your words all in uppercase lettering. It's really difficult to read large amounts of copy or paragraph of copy that's all in uppercase. It's very difficult to skim read, and as we know, people are not reading, they're kind of skim reading your posts. So try and make it as easy as possible for them to get the messaging that you want. So uppercase lettering and script lettering, keep to short sentences or a couple of words. Now, these ideas are just rough rules. They're there to sort of give you a starting point if you don't really know where to begin, okay? So hopefully that's kind of given you a good grounding to sort of what fonts to use and how to use them. There are some common mistakes that I see many people make in their designs. So one of those is using far too many different font styles across their posts. So think about the fact that if you've got a bold font for your headline, that's 1. You have a lighter weight for your body copy, that's 2. You might have an italic version of that font for highlighted text or a testimonial, and then you might have a handwritten font. Now that's 4 different fonts, and that's fine. But if you start stretching to 5 or 6 different versions of fonts, it's all going to look a bit messy and a little bit all over the place. So try and limit yourself to 3 or 4 different font styles across all your communications. Okay. The second mistake I often see is people swapping and changing their fonts after a few posts. Now I know it's really easy to be distracted and see what someone else has done and think, oh, I really like how they've created that text, or I really like that font, I'm going to use that in mine. The problem with that obviously is that you're breaking your own rules and you're not being consistent, so it doesn't help you look professional. So do try and stick to your rules, try and keep that consistency there. And the third one that I see many times is overloading small Instagram squares or Facebook posts with far too much text. So if you've got a great testimonial, the worst thing that you can do is to make it too small text on a really small square so that actually no one's going to read it. The best thing to do is to stretch that testimonial text across 3 or 4 squares, make your post a carousel, and therefore your message isn't going to get lost. You know, squeezing too much text in too small a space is just distracting, and it won't have the cut through that you want to achieve. So hopefully this has been useful. If you've got any questions about fonts or anything like that, then please do pop them in the comments below. My next video, I'm going to be talking about balance and layout and how to achieve that in your designs. So thanks.